And hello, everybody. It is Tom Chenault, and it is the Legacy Leadership Radio Show. I am on a location in Los Angeles, California. I am having a blast out here, and there's a lot of reasons for it. One of them is I am recently a true internet influencer. We'll talk about that in a second. We have got a tremendous show for you today. Peter Mingils is a longtime friend of mine, one of the most outspoken guys on the planet for the profession of multi-level marketing. MLM. Some people call it network marketing. I don't think Peter does. He is all of it in a bag of chips. He's not afraid. He will not pull any punches. Today's show is going to be edgy and great. But before we go there, hello, my son. How are you?
I am great. I'm, got the whole studio to myself here. This is crazy. And your head's not big enough to fit in this studio anymore now that you are so famous. And so I needed a little space to myself.
Well, here's what happened, everybody. I have been working on, I helped Adrian in this company called Contact Mapping, and then we sold it to an AI company called NowSite. And, I'm quite versed in all this stuff. But in my life, I've never had 10,000 views on anything, no matter how hard I've tried. That's kind of been my benchmark. It sits at 10,000. The other night I came home. I'm tired. It's about 9 o'clock at night. I go to bed. My son, Dominic, Adrian's brother, is in the lobby reading his book. He comes in at midnight and it's very loud. And it turns out I have rolled over and fallen asleep on my cell phone and turned it into double speed. And I'm watching a video and it's barking at me. So he took an 11-second video. And that was that. Wake up in the morning. He showed it to me to humiliate me and maybe blackmail me. So I said the best way to do that is post it. So I post this stupid thing 2 days ago. And here we are, 4 million views later, Peter. 4 million views.
Wow.
Happened.
Wow.
Happened for no reason. All my beautiful content
Wow.
is absolutely out the window. And the only thing they liked was me looking like an idiot, which should tell all of you, if you want to really, really get really popular out there in that particular place, be yourself, look like an idiot, and it's going to pay off. So that's why I'm talking. All of you, I want you to go to the ANMP. Peter used to be the president of the ANMP, and he did that for many, many years. He was outspoken. He was edgy. He did not like me very well in those days. I still loved him, but it was a rough time because we were this little band of merry men that were trying to really fight people with big swords with toothpicks. And it's been so fun having Peter in my life the last few years. He's never really gone away. And now he's out there in the world with a bunch of radio shows, a bunch of websites, and his entire monomaniacal obsession is protecting the good work of network marketing companies that are good network marketing companies. So, Adrian, what do you think of all that?
It's funny. Some of my most distinct memories are from way back in the day when it was the Distributor Rights Association. That's what it was called back at the beginning.
Yep.
And you were all, you and Rod and Marcy and you guys were all just so fired up and so ready to stick it to the man. And I love those roots, and I love that that you guys go way back like that. And this is a profession that needs those kind of rebels and agitators, and so it's always great to have that kind of conversation.
Yeah. So the best of them all. And Adrian, because I'm on the road, I was in the front row of the Lakers game last night. I was with Jeannie Buss, the owner of the team, and her husband, Jay Moore. We had more fun. You wouldn't have believed it. And I've just had this wonderful little vacation on my own the last 5 days. And Adrian was freaked that I wasn't going to be on this show because you are so intimidating, Peter. And I said, he is a glass of milk. We can do it. Peter, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, thanks. Hey, we've grown old together. It's crazy.
My God, I am 74, and it's just unbelievable that I'm still so relevant. on Instagram, of course, but also in network marketing and in AA. I mean, three things that you don't get retired out of. I accidentally stayed in, and I am so happy because I still have purpose and I still have legacy, just like you, right?
Yep, absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks for allowing me to be on your show. And I don't do videos very often. For those people that are wondering, my eyes aren't as good as they used to be. I have glaucoma, and I know all the MLMers out there. I just triggered them to send me everything that they have about glaucoma. So I'm gonna tell you that in advance. I've tried a lot of stuff, but as I get older, I I decided that I wanted to build a business working from home, which actually wound up being coincidentally very good for people that can't see very well. So I don't drive, I don't travel as much, and when I met you, Tom, it was a different chapter in my life. I guess I was in my 30s or maybe 40s when Rod Cook was around, and I guess that's a story worth telling. So I was building a network marketing company called Nutrition for Life. We had developed our own MLM called Smart Networker, and I was into it, meaning in the MLM world of home-based businesses. And that really started way before then. So it's worth a little bit of the story. When I graduated from college, I sold vacuums for a company called Electrolux in their management training program. And I figured there was a couple of good things about that. Number one, in the management training program, if you succeeded in sales, you had an opportunity to be able to run one of their offices. So I figured I'd be good at sales, and sales is a great career, if you will, to get good at because no matter what you do, you're going to need to do that. And as a result of that, I was in a lot of people's homes unannounced. So when you're knocking on doors and you're getting into people's homes unannounced, you enter their world at that time. And I was really amazed at the dynamics of what happens with people when they're expected to spend money that they didn't expect. So I'd be visiting with people. I mean, they were talking about like it was a $600 vacuum or $1,000 package. And this was back in the 1980s. So it's been a while. But when they paid it monthly, I could see that just about anybody that wanted it could probably afford it. But the dynamics in the family of how the money was spent, like the mom might have to ask the dad about a product that he probably was never going to, meaning a vacuum cleaner. And I was really intrigued with the idea of money and what it meant to families. So I said, if I could fix this or help fix this, I know not every one of the people that I'm talking to are going to want to sell vacuum cleaners, but there's an underlying problem of money in the family units that I want to see if I could try to fix. And that's what led me to network marketing because I thought with the network marketing thing, there'd be a lot of people that would be interested in making some extra money. So that's how I kind of got gravitated towards that. So I had a very strong direct sales background, and I knew how to sell. And I ran 96 different offices for that company as an area VP. And I was polished up by compliance departments and lawyers and stuff like that. And then when I joined MLM, it was fascinating to me in a freaky way that these people tell these fantasy stories. Two who get two who get two. I'm like, when does it ever happen like that? All you have to do, it's easy. All you have to do is talk to your all you have to do is talk to your friends, and your family. And like, when did that happen? Like, what planet do you freaking people? I said, does gravity work in a different direction in this MLM world? You guys are crazy. And then I started meeting the people, and they were making a lot of money. Dr. Charles King is the gentleman who taught at the University of Illinois in Chicago. He's on the Tim Sales Brilliant Compensation thing. I flew up to see him and I said, Dr. Charles, I'll pay you as a consultant because I figured that's better than me making all the mistakes on my own. And one thing led to another, and we started talking a little bit. And I met people like Mark Yarnell, and I don't know if you know who Mark Yarnell was, but he was really big in New Skin. He wrote the book, The First Year Professionals or whatever like that. And his writing at that time, they were teaching at the university. And I became a student as well as an instructor there. I met a lot of people that made a ton of money that quite honestly weren't as sharp as I was. And they weren't as good as I was in business. They were just regular people that just did extraordinary things. And I was fascinated by that. And I said, well, if they could do it, I could probably do it too. And then where we start to meet Tom is there was some distributors. I ran a lead generation business. We don't do as leads as much as we used to anymore, but I ran a lead generation business and I saw David and Collie Butler get fired from Free Life. And that's where our Sandy Cohen, I'll drop Sandy's name in here because she was the one who introduced me to DRA. And when that happened, I said,
She
wait a
was
minute, these
100.
distributors that were making millions of dollars.
She was
Go
100
ahead, say
years
that.
old back. She is just such a legend. She is still out there grinding away. Did you know that?
Oh yeah, Sandy and Ed, they are wonderful people that have dynamic backgrounds. You have to listen to their stories, and they are MLM, advocates, and they are great people. I mean, they're great people. I mean, they are great people. And anyway, so Sandy was part of Free Life at the time, and there was an attorney who was the owner who wound up firing David and Collie Butler. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of disruptive. I mean, Tom, I know you've seen it enough. You're working, you're building a residual income, and then all of a sudden you're done because they terminated your contract. And I said, there's something about distributors' rights that people need to know about. And Rod Cook was the MLM watchdog at the time. Crazy man, love him or hate him, both, that kind of a thing. And that's how I got started with the Distributor Rights Association, because Sandy asked me to come and meet some people. You were there. You were one of the original founders. And Rod Cook was there. And for those people, you can find, I put a couple of the conference calls that we did with Rod up there on the Building Fortunes Radio Network. But we were talking about distributors' rights, because companies have rights, of course. Distributors have rights, and hardly anyone ever reads the contract. So they go and they work their asses off for 10, 20, 30, 50 years, thinking they're running their own business, never read the contract. And then they get fired, and all their life's work was terminated. And sometimes they're sued into oblivion. And I just said people need to know about that stuff. So because I was that home-based business evangelist, as I wrap this up, I wanted to show people how they could make money working from home. And I looked at MLM as being the perfect business model, because most people aren't business people, and this is a great way for them to be able to build and expose themselves to great products and stuff like that. That's how I got started with the Distributor Rights Association. And then unfortunately, because Rod Cook was the face of the DRA, a lot of people that didn't like him wouldn't join the DRA. And I would say to them things like, listen, I know, I like distributors' rights more than I don't like Rod Cook. So I'm a member of the Distributor Rights Association because I believe that distributors have rights, and we need to let people know about that stuff. So he asked me to be the face of the DRA. And I said, I'm building my own business family. I'll be the face of it until you find somebody better. And when you do, I'm out, because I got enough stuff to do. As long as they're doing the things that I want relative to the distributor rights and teaching people the right way how to build a great industry, I'm in. And we did that. They changed the name to the ANMP. And then my feelings are, and I'll leave this for another radio show, they changed direction. And I just said, I'm out. I'm still part of that whole distributor rights. I want to fight for the industry, make sure people are educated. And some of the people that, and I'm going to say that this is the last thing that I'll say, I said, some of the people that are the problem can't fix the problem.
Uh-oh. He's breaking up on us, I think. Dad, you're muted. We lost him, so we're gonna let's.
Yeah. So what?
So I did it myself. He said,
"Go ahead."
So I said, "Screw this! I'm going to do my own thing." I did.
We lost him again. Why don't you go ahead, Dad?
Okay. So what he said primarily was he wasn't sure that the direction of the ANMP was the direction.
Dad, you muted yourself.
He said that the direction of the ANMP wasn't the direction he thought it should go. And in the defense of the ANMP, we were David and Goliath. Hey, Peter, we're having a terrible time.
You're gonna keep going.
Okay, so anyway, at the end, message him and just tell him we're having a tough time hearing him, and maybe he can move around a little bit. But I will promise you all, the ANMP today is committed to making darn sure that the distributors do have a voice. It isn't the David and Goliath Association anymore because of the liability involved with it and a bunch of things, but it's still a powerful, powerful organization that is getting more powerful by the day. But the key in that whole deal for the 501c3 and everything else is to be an educational association versus this distributor rights kind of go out there and fight everybody association that it used to be. So make no mistake, when we decided to shift that thing, I was part of that decision. And it wasn't because necessarily we wanted to, it was because we had to in order to have more people join and more eyeballs on the association. So, having said that, we're having this associate, the ANMP, the Association of Network Marketing Professionals, big event at the end of May, and it's in Dallas, Texas. And it is the best deal, dollar for dollar, that you will ever go to in your life. It is, the hotel room is it's a 5-star hotel. If you try to use dollars, if you go to the website right now, they're going to tell you the rooms are $400 a piece. Pardon me, our room block is 150. That in itself is incredible. The tickets to the event are dirt cheap, but what people don't realize is that includes all food. So not only do you get the event, you get fed, and it's amazing. And it is a nonprofit, so no one got paid. I don't care if you're Jeff Roberti. I don't care if you're Larry and Taylor Thompson. I don't care if you're Donna Johnson, Thomas Tidlin, Jordan Adler, or Richard Brook. Nobody got their ticket paid for. Everybody bought their own ticket, paid their own expenses, and go down there and play the game, which I think is absolutely awesome. So I am begging you guys to go to that event. And that's not coming from just a network marketer. That's coming from an internet influencer like me. So, Adrian, what do you think, buddy? I hope we get Peter back soon.
I think we're going to have him back here in a minute. I'm going to bring him in. We'll keep talking and just make sure his connection is okay while we're talking here for a second. But I think it's what the ANMP does at that conference in particular, I think is something really, really special. And it's really unlike any other conference you can go to, right? You look at what Eric Worre does, you look at what Ray Higdon does. They put on phenomenal events, but there's more of the people who are up there on stage and the people who are out there in the crowd. And the ANMP is, you really should call it a mastermind instead of a conference almost, because it really has that feeling of there's a ton of speakers. They're incredibly generous with their time. They're sitting in the room cheering each other on and sitting in and amongst everybody else the entire time. All the food's on site, so they stick around rather than everybody disappearing. And there is really, really something to that. And so that event is something that is very, very special. And if you've never been to it, you got to make it out there to Dallas.
That was the history lesson. We've got Peter back. So Peter, I kind of took over for.
Yes, sir.
I took over, yeah, and basically took over and explained what you were doing.
Yep.
So now you are
perfect.
Still doing what the Distributor Rights Association was kind of supposed to do, but you picked up a torch, not so much at rogue companies, even though you don't like rogue companies, but you picked up a new torch, which is, I've got to be the voice against people bad-mouthing this profession that don't understand it. And I love that. And you've sent me so much information to go read and watch of these people that are completely clueless, that's clickbait. They're just getting a lot of views being contrary for no reason. And then they come with their evidence as to why they are that way. And it's flat out preposterous. And I love the fact, I'll have another cup of coffee, please. Thank you. I love the fact that you're doing this. So talk about that a little bit.
Okay. So, in any business, there's the pros and the cons. There's the people who are doing it the right way and the people who are doing it the wrong way. And there's a lot of criticism that people can make about MLM. So, what is some of that? The over-exaggerated ease of how it's built. I mentioned that a little bit. The income claims, the lifestyle claims, the predatory practices. So there's a lot. Now, by the way, I'm not naive. I've been associated with every industry that I could think of, and they're all the same. There's pros in every business. There's cons in every business. And the key is learning where they are so you can basically live your life you want to. Everybody to, their own schedule, their own path, whatever it is, they're consenting adults, you know, you do your thing. But in the anti-MLM world, there's a lot of people that beat up MLM just because it's MLM and they don't understand the industry. They're just loudmouths that have the opportunity to have microphones, have a great audience, and they're actually doing a disservice to the people that could be doing MLMs the right way. So again, we'll take a look at stuff that just happened recently with the TSA. Um, if you're listening to this on a rebroadcast, the government was shut down, the checks have been stopped. There's a lot of people that are really financially hurting because their paychecks were shut down by the government. They need an opportunity to be able to have a hedge against that. So if they were building an MLM company, maybe the few $100 that they might be earning or a few $1,000s might be the difference between paying a bill on time, food, maybe. So I'm a huge fan of building an MLM business for lots of different reasons. And if you do it the right way and the companies do it the right way, I'll get back on my soapbox, it could be the best thing that ever happened. So when these anti-MLM gals and guys beat up the industry and beat up the people doing the industry, trying to do it the right way, understanding that everybody's human and people make mistakes, there's got to be somebody that goes and pushes back against them. And unfortunately, I'm going to say it like this: a lot of people don't. A lot of people won't. A lot of people are afraid that if I push back, I'm going to get yelled at because they have something to defend against. Quite honestly, a lot of them, because they post things on social media. Tom, there you go, as an influencer. They post things that they probably didn't realize were going to be picked up by their adversaries, picked on. Although they might get 4 million views, they might get them for the wrong reasons, not you specifically in that regard, but in regard to other people when they're doing or saying things. So somebody's got to pick on them. Somebody's got to identify them. When there's stuff going out, somebody's got to be the watchdog. Some people say, well, they don't get very many views, and they try to poo-poo them as being like haters and things along that line. I'm like, you know what? The problem is maybe they don't get a lot of views, but who they're getting views from means a difference. Some of them have like hotlines to the FTC. So when they see somebody making an illegal claim, they basically send that video to the FTC or have a swarm of people that do things like that. And maybe they should be advised, but maybe they shouldn't be turned in. Maybe we should do a better job at educating people on what they're supposed to say and what they're not supposed to say. And that's the difference between old school stuff, Tom, like when you were doing all the stuff building a business and no one ever saw it. I don't know if you did it right. I don't know if you did it wrong. I don't know what you said. We're only judging on the results. You built huge organizations, and everybody in your business did the same way. There was no social media, there was no recordings, there was no cameras, there was no nothing. Just like the same way when I was knocking on doors. When I was knocking on doors, Tom, there was no ring cameras. Could you imagine how many people would be turning me in if I decided that I wanted to go back and knock on doors for a living or do any kind of direct sales like that? I'd be ring cameraed all over the place. You could just imagine. So it's a different world. So I fight against them, and I because we're recording this, I will tell you I fight fairly against these people, and we're somewhat effective because a lot of them are no longer on the internet doing the things that they've done. So sometimes they say what do they say? The enemy of your enemy is your friend. So I've kind of played that up pretty well, and we know how to do it in wonderful ways. And we've gotten a lot of people shut off because they just overreach. They might have started off with a good message, but they overreach. And I sent you some of them. Some of them were meant against, some of the really horrible things that people were saying were about people that you know and you're close to. And like, that's so unfair. They don't know these people. They are basically doing such unfair things and slanderous. And, all of that sort of stuff has to be stopped. So I'm fighting for it. So we push
So
back. We push back hard.
So I got that. So how do people help you do that? What are your websites? I know you've got several radio shows. You've got a bunch of people that you're in the foxhole with that are friends of mine. How do people help Peter do this?
So I built buildingfortunesradio.com. People can go and listen to whatever they want to listen to on that. And if they think they'd be a good guest for us, make sure you reach out to me and you can call me. You can find my number all over the place. I also own MLM.news and directselling.news and a whole bunch of other ones as well, healthcoach.news. So if you have an interesting message and you think you could probably appreciate being broadcast all over the place, we could certainly do that as well. But, call me at any time and realize that, I work from noon till midnight just about every day Eastern time. So even if it's on the weekends, you can pick up the phone and call and I'll have a casual conversation with you. And let's do whatever we can to be able to help people that really truly want to do the MLM thing the right way, the right way. So that's the best thing to do. You can reach out to me.
Okay, short of having you come to the ANMP, which I take personally that you don't come, that you should come. I believe that because we need your contrarian voice, even though you're not bought into a lot of conversation. I'm not trying to get you there, but I really am. But inside of that, what else can they do to support you?
Basically, I guess I shut up. I'm shutting off my phone because I think that's what interrupted us the last time. I happen to be making this video from my cell phone. So the best way to do is just pick up the phone and talk to me. We'll figure something out. I do a lot of things. I know.
Oh, Peter, you there?
We lost him again. Okay, so what I want you to do, you saw buildingfortunesradio.com. That's Peter's primary site. I think he's a good guy. I think that he is absolutely doing this out of the kindness of his heart. He's got himself a giant following of people. I mean, you'd be astounded at how many shows he's got and how many people he is talking to and how much good they've done, because he hit the nail on the head. These little barkers, even though it seems like they're not really that big, they are very well organized. They've got some major people that do not like this profession for some reason or another behind them with their money and their resources. And what we need to do is just unite as a profession and take the high road with professionalism and integrity and make this the profession that Peter knows this is, that Adrian knows this is, that I know this is, and do some good, right, Peter?
Absolutely. A lot of people, I've been doing this for a super duper long time on a full-time basis, and I've had the blessing to be able to speak to a lot of great people like Tom. I would not maybe be as close to you as I was if I wasn't part of the trade associations and doing this for so long. So I have a lot of experience as far as people teaching me things. So, and I've also stood up for a lot of people in this industry, and a lot of people get hurt when people don't understand the ins and outs and the things that they need to know. I'll use an example specifically. I saw you and Troy do a video on Texit Coin with a guy named Bobby Gray. I think Bobby Gray is probably a pretty decent guy. He's certainly smart, but he doesn't understand anything about MLM. And he hurt a lot of people because he doesn't understand anything about MLM. Like, his ignorance hurt a lot of people. And unfortunately, he doesn't understand that what he was selling, I think allegedly, and this is for educational purposes, and this is where I probably should throw in my disclaimer, this is my own opinion, and don't take any financial advice from me, any healthcare advice from me. I don't know what other disclaimers do I need to throw in, Tom. Don't listen to me at all, because this is all my opinion. But, people like Bobby Gray, who I think is a really smart man, I don't know enough about him to say he's a good man, but I think he's a smart man, didn't understand that his mining contracts would probably be perceived as selling an unregistered security. And if you're selling an unregistered security, step one, you have to register with the SEC. Like, that's step one. Anybody that would be trained by us on any one of our calls would have known that this is a bad thing. Like, you're in trouble already from the very beginning, and you're going to go out and build a $150 million company over the last, I think he's up to week 105. Like, oh my God, Bobby, how could you not know that? Like, how in the world could you, running a company, not know that you're selling an unregistered security in your mining contracts? What's wrong with you? I mean, anybody, Tom, if we were doing the DRA stuff again, where we're doing the educational stuff or the stuff that really works, they would have known that. Same thing with Joby Weeks. Now, I don't know enough about Joby Weeks. but I've seen he's in the headlines. Same thing with him with Big Club Network. Same thing with, oh my God, all these smart people that you referenced, Trader's domain name, Omega Pro. Oh my gosh, what's wrong with you people? All you experts that are going to be on that grand stage that don't know
Okay,
the
so
difference. Oh my God. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm stopping. But the
yeah, you
reality is
probably
that
need to.
people need
So
to know
here's the
their
deal.
industry or in.
2020 is everybody. I mean, if I have one more person that told
Yeah.
me they sold silver at 115, they sold Texas coin at $7, they sold Bitcoin at 120,000, and that they all live in 2020 hindsight. And here's what I'm going to tell you: I don't have any opinion about any of that stuff, except that crypto and that particular world does not mix well with multi-level marketing. And I've said it forever, and I'm going to continue to say it until it's legal. And there are regulators out there showing people that it's legal. And right now, everybody, I mean, I can tell you 5 very good friends of mine that all think that they've got a legal crypto network marketing opportunity. But I am telling you, for Tom Chenault's money, and Tom Chenault's friend and Tom Chenault's reputation, until the feds say this is green lighted, like in bold letters, I'm staying away, because this business is way too tough without that variable involved with it. And I was a stockbroker. I was an expert in mergers and acquisitions. I understand all this stuff enough to understand that I don't understand. And once you understand that you don't understand, and your best thing is to not do things that you don't understand, even though it looks too good to be true, it probably looks too good to be true because you don't understand it. Right, Peter?
Absolutely. Well, you know what they say about MLM? If it's too good to be true, you better get in. That's the old
Yeah.
saying. And that is so, that is,
Famous
And
last
it's
word.
all and it's all fundamentals. Adrian, you're in the world of obviously with Nowsight and what you're doing. By the way, they're a sponsor of this show. With what you're doing in that world, Adrian, I mean, you see it every day. I was talking to somebody uh, that talked about my big picture goal, and my big picture goal in my life is to take what you're doing in the world and do better what you're doing in the world in my own business, in my own life, because I think you are right on the money. You are training people to use AI, not to get used by AI, and not doing any goofy stuff, just fundamental network marketing using the best tools possible, right?
Yeah, totally. And so much of it is that those basics, right? Like how do you make it really easy for somebody to go in, wherever they are, right? You're at the Lakers game, you're at this event, you're on an airplane, you're doing whatever you're doing, you're meeting people all the time. And you've got a product that you're representing or a service that you're representing that you really love. And how do we make the gap between I just met this person and I want to share something with them in a way that's going to be meaningful and impactful to that person? How do you narrow that gap and make it as easy as possible, whether somebody is a totally gifted salesperson or whether somebody is just somebody who's never really done this before and wants to make an impact but doesn't really know how? And that's the thing that we obsess over. And it's been really cool. Even just in the last 2 weeks, we've launched some new capabilities with Nowsight inside of a couple of huge, really, really well-respected companies, both long-standing companies and newer companies. And when you do this the right way, the conversion that can happen and the level of activity, the pickup in activity that can happen compared to what these companies are used to seeing out of their distributor base is just incredible. And so it's been really exciting and encouraging to see that all happening and to see some of this vision that we've had take hold. And I think we've really finally kind of nailed some things in that simplicity, which is really the biggest thing in the world, right? That's when you look at kind of old school network marketing, the hallmark, I think, of an old school network marketing done well is when you really made it simple. And there's so, the good news and the bad news is there's so much technology. It's so it can feel so complicated. And I think the trick is to how do you make the complicated really simple?
There you go. In the good old days, Tom Chenault would call Peter with people to have him teach people what I knew really, really well, which was how to talk to people and call people on the phone. But Peter had the reputation and the doctorate in it to have people actually believe what he was doing and what he was selling. And it hasn't changed much, has it, Peter? It's still treating people like human beings, not prospects, and just grinding through names of people to get related to, right?
Yep, absolutely. It's easier today than it was before because of all the communication tools. Like everybody's got so much more reach. Everybody's wanted, the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, if you've ever heard that thing before.
Sure.
Everybody's connected to everybody who's connected to everybody. So the reach is unbelievable. You should be able to build this faster and bigger and better than ever before. Now you just have to do it the right way. So somebody's got to teach you. A whole bunch of people, if you think about MLM, the best thing about MLM is the worst thing about MLM. What qualifies you to be an MLM person? Your credit card went through. That's what qualified you. I mean, the reality is that that's it. Everybody's got a microphone. Everybody can speak, all that sort of stuff. So that's the best thing about it and the worst thing about it. So if I asked you, if there's a business model out there where just about anybody can do it, they have free reign over their microphone and they don't take any real training, or they do what Dr. Charles King says, they upline trains downline, and it's basically the wrong thing being trained by the wrong thing, people training on the wrong thing, or hype and more hype and more hype. What do you expect? What would you expect? The predictable result would be, it'd be messed up. So that's where it is. So now if you train people the right way, then you're fine. Now I'm going to come back to something, Tom. Just a lot of people, they don't really realize MLM. And I'm going to say it like this, and this might be a learning lesson for some people listening in, especially the anti-MLM people. Tom, and I'll try to simplify my example, but if MLM didn't exist, we would invent it on our own. And I'll use as an example. If you're selling something, like you're selling Now Sites, I'll use that as an example. And you say, hey, Peter, we're selling Now Sites. And I say, Tom, that's great. And I'm going to make up some numbers here because I don't know your numbers and it doesn't matter for this example. But Peter, I'll be able to pay you 30% on whatever you sell. I'm like, great. So I go out there, I learn the product, I start selling it, I sell it to a friend. He says, I love this. And maybe that friend's name is Sandy. Sandy comes to me and she says, I want to sell these too. So I go back to Tom and I say, Tom, Sandy wants to sell and, can cut her in on the deal. And you say, well, Peter, I told you I can only pay 30%. So I'll pay you 10% and I'll pay her 20. So now we're in multiple levels. Well, if it worked for me and Sandy's going to go out there and talk to Ed. And Ed's going to say, I really love this. I want to sell it, Sandy. And Sandy's going to say to Peter, and I'm going to go back to Tom and say, Tom, Ed wants to sell. And you're going to come back to me and say, Peter, I can only pay 30%. And I'm going to say, okay. So design a compensation plan that takes care of all of us. And then Ed's going to go out there and say to Joe, this is really cool stuff. And he's going to, I love this Now site. And he's going to talk to Sandy. He's going to talk to Peter. He's going to talk to Tom. Tom's going to say, I can only pay out 30%. And he's going to say, okay, I guess we're going to do. So the key is we would invent MLM on its own if we had a great product to sell that people would get excited about. So how in the world could people say MLM is illegal? I'm like, no, even those people that don't know what they're talking about, if they had a product to sell, they'd make MLM themselves. They'd have multiple levels of compensation, which some people call marketing. And how could you not figure this out? Like, you should be able to figure that on day one. I hate to say it, you may not even need to go to a seminar to figure that out.
I just heard a great line a couple of days ago. And they said, Alcoholics Anonymous and network marketing, to get good at it, it is a lot easier than you think. And the only way that I can describe it is taking 1 hour of classes at a junior college, and you're going to get it. And that's about the truth. This business is simple and we complicate versus just go do it. And all of you can. And Peter, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. This is a 45-minute show, so we've got a hard stop because of hardwire radio. But you are one of my heroes out there because you've never given up. And I beg all of you to go look at his website, buildingfortunesradio.com. Connect with Peter. He calls back to the point you won't believe it. He works 10 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, which is 7 a.m. Pacific time, until about midnight, which is about, I have no idea what time that would be. But at the end of the day, he works all the time. And he loves this profession. And even wherever you are, you call him, you're going to leave that phone call more educated and a better person than when you got there. And Peter, thank you for coming on. Adrian, you feel the same way, buddy?
Absolutely. Peter, thanks so much, man. It's been a great show. Really appreciate you being here. And yeah, we'll see everybody next week on the Legacy Leadership Show. Thanks, everybody.